So in true fashion, the State of Israel opened their ICJ defense with a woe is me Holocaust story. Can you believe it? After the Holocaust, every time, as if they're the only peoples in the whole history of humanity who have ever been genocided or holocausted. Let's take the Bolshevik Revolution, for instance, that happened a little bit before World War II, where over 30 million Russians were genocided, believe it or not, funded by Zionist Jewish bankers. And the communists, who were and are majority Jewish because it's a Jewish ideology, were funded by Jewish Zionist bankers to commit the genocide of over 30 million Russians in the Bolshevik Revolution and implement communism, which is an extremist Jewish ideology. Communism is connected to Judaism. So that's actually what had happened in Europe just before World War II. Communism was coming across into Germany, and Hitler was responding to what the Zionists had already done in Germany. 30 million people dead. Okay? So I'm not condoning Hitler, but I'm saying that's the origin story, and that's some context for you. It didn't just start with some German guy who woke up and was like, Jews! That's not how it started. It started when Zionist Jews committed a genocide called the Bolshevik Revolution in Russia. That's how it started. Anyway, even more humorous is the fact that here we are in the ICJ, Israel's touting the old Holocaust story again, and the great tragedy and irony and utter comedy is that the first concentration camp that ever happened in the whole world happened in South Africa at the hands of Zionists. Yes, in the late 1800s, gold was discovered in South Africa, and the British came to take control of that gold, and they fought the Anglo-Boer War. Okay, they weren't doing very well because the Boers, who were the Dutch came in 1652. They weren't exactly great to the local African people at all, but they had been here for a couple hundred years and they were very integrated into the land. So the British failed massively in this war effort because the Dutch, it was the first, not the Dutch, the Boers, it was the first time that guerrilla warfare was ever used. The Boers were working in commando troops in the bush, and they were wearing khakis. They were connected to the bush, and they were the Brits in these massive battalions and like bright red coats in the middle of, the low-felt landscape, or in the middle of the bush with these guns, coming through like they're this battalion. I mean, they were just so easy to pick apart by the commando warfare, the guerrilla warfare. So first time guerrilla warfare is ever used. The British are just failing, right? They fail at this war. So at the second Anglo-Boer War, the British are relentless. This is one of their most expensive wars in history, by the way. They would not stop until they got control of the gold here, the diamonds and gold. And by the way, England in 1694, the deceptively named Bank of England is founded. I'm reading this out of a book called The Synagogue of Satan by Andrew Carrington, who's tracked the history of Zionist Jews. And it's named that deceptively because it gives the impression that it's controlled by the English government. But it's in fact a private institution founded by Jews. And you can read about that in a book called The Breakdown of Money, written in 1934. So let's just remember that this British onslaught, this war, the Anglo-Boer Wars, are being funded by the British government, the Bank of England, which is financed by Zionist Jews. So the Zionist Jews have been running the UK since 1694. So British colonization and Zionist Talmudic Jewish supremacy are the same thing. So now we're in the second Anglo-Boer War. They're really not doing well. The British, they're losing to these commando troops of Boers, okay? So now, in the Second War, late 1800s, early 1900s, the Brits implement the scorched earth policy. And that is because these commando troops were like going to all the different Afrikaans farms, stocking up on provisions, and then going out in their troops again to take the British down. So the British scorched earth policy was you just decimate all of it. You burn their homes to shit. So that's what they did. They burnt the shit out of every Afrikaner farm. They just burnt them, and they took the women and children away and put them in concentration camps. First time concentration camps happened. So they put Afrikaners in concentration camps and native black South Africans in concentration camps. So the farmers would return home, their farms are burnt to pieces, and their wives and children are gone. So because the British were so pathetic at warfare, the British Zionists, just like we're seeing now, they just say, all right, well, they're not giving us what we want, scorch the earth. You just blow it all to shit. That's what you do. You blow it to shit. We don't fall in line with any rules of war. Women and children we take away, they die in these concentration camps. And Emily Hobhouse was a woman who was reporting and just astounded at what the British were doing, and she was reporting back to the UK, and they weren't doing anything about it, about these concentration camps where thousands and thousands of people died. So it's like so weird that the Zionist entity always brings up the Holocaust. Meantime, they committed the Bolshevik Revolution, which was like one of the greatest Holocausts in modern history, over 30 million Russians. They started concentration camps because the Brits have been Zionistic since 1694. If you want to read Andrew Carrington Hitchcock's book, The Synagogue of Satan, tracks the history of Zionist Jews and their banking influence. So it's like, Israel, you can't just wheel out the Holocaust because you literally have been committing them before your Holocaust. In fact, what you did in the Bolshevik Revolution, that those Zionists did, is what caused what happened to the Jews. And of course, not all Jews are Zionistic. And the ones that aren't even aware, often. So it's a big, crazy, absurdist lull. Stop using the Holocaust.